long sound A. Sound B, down, up, and round.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to First Issues. Our installment tonight celebrates all that we are because of teachers. For most people, if not everyone, to move through life with the basic skill of being literate, the effort, the intention and the patience to impart that skill has to have come from a teacher. All the leaders in the world, persons of interest, of influence, and of course you and I have all gone through the nurturing of teachers. With that, it is befitting to appreciate and acknowledge these gems for all that they have done and continue to do for the betterment of our societies and collective economy. Since we cannot speak to all teachers, we have here Nonofo Pule, whom at the time of retirement in 2012 had served for more than 32 years. But before all that, she was just a little girl playing in the then dusty streets of Madinare, having been born at St. Peter's Mission Hospital in 1959. As that little girl, she attended Madinare No. 1 Primary School, and then went to Gaborone Senior Secondary School as 18, and then later enrolled at the then University of Botswana, Lesotho, Swaziland. Upon graduating at just 20 years old, she started teaching languages, being English and Setswana at Swanning Hill in 1980. She moved around 9 schools until reaching a full circle moment, teaching at Gaborone Senior Secondary School, where she retired in 2012. Amongst those she has taught are the late politician Kgomolemo Motsoaledi, current Botswana Energy Regulatory Authority CEO Rose Seretse, Major General Joseph Selo, and many others. Besides being a passionate teacher, she's a mother who had 2 children, a son whom she unfortunately lost in 2016, and a daughter who's currently in her 40s. With no background in agricultural sciences or landscaping, our guest says she's very passionate about gardening and greenery, which is one of the many ways she has kept busy since retiring. After having such a full and lengthy career, what is life like now for her after retirement? We start off first by finding out how she ended up on the path of teaching, the joys and the aches along the way, and of course, where she is now. Mapula, thank you so much for coming on First Issues and affording us your time. We are talking to you today as a retired teacher, seeing that we will be celebrating Teachers' Day. You could start off first by telling us how you went into the profession of teaching and if you always knew that you wanted to be a teacher.
There were some teachers that really inspired me. First one is Mrs. Mpotokwane. Mrs. Mpotokwane taught me English at secondary school, and she was such a committed teacher. She would explain everything, especially in literature. So she was kind of my role model. That's why I think I ended up taking teaching and going for languages.
Your career spanned over 3 decades. That's a very long time. So maybe you could speak to the joys that you experienced during your very lengthy career.
One of the greatest joys is seeing your products flourish and being very successful. That's one of the gratifications, you know. Money aside, how much you earn is not an issue, but what you have produced. It's such a, a plus for one. Some of them, in fact, once they meet me, they just say, "Oh, ma'am, thank you for making me what I am." And they'll just offer something,
With life, there tends to be some duality. So with a joy, there's a pain. So at this point, I'd like for you to speak to some of the growing pains that you encountered during your journey.
When you're a teacher, there is what you call loco parentis. I think it's Roman or whatever. You are a parent as well to all the students that you teach. And in the end, some of them, confide in you and, they tell you their problems and all. And, such things sometimes really get to you and, you become so frustrated, especially when it comes to poverty and maybe, abuse, physical abuse and all that. So that's in itself, you tend to carry those problems of theirs. But at the end, of course, you need to have the guidance and counseling skills to talk to them. So in other words, there is this burdening about teaching where you carry your students' problems, and try to solve them. Well, with time, but during those times when we started around 80, you just had to find a way, either sit the child down, whether you are a professional counselor or not, sit the child down and talk to them, show them that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and even if it's possible, just call the parents, some of which would be so uncooperative. But you try, with patience, of course, and perseverance.
You're retired now. Was there a plan that you had in place, seeing also that as much as your career spanned quite a long time, 32 years to be exact, you also retired at an early age, or what would be considered early retirement. So did you have a plan as to what you would do post active employment, and are you living out that plan now?
Well, I had about two of them. One was, to get into horticulture, but for aesthetics, for ornamental, horticulture, where I would grow flowers and all and, beautify places. The second one was to do, counseling for the kids, having experience that they do have a lot, some of them. But then there was the problem of logistics, the plays and, all that. So I ended up, though I haven't abandoned it, I still do it on a very informal note, but, not for monetary purposes.
Let us go back to what you did professionally, right? Are you ever truly retired as a teacher in the sense of what the word retirement from a profession means in its entirety?
Not really. One example, I wake up 5:30 every morning because as a teacher, you remember, you get to school early. Yes, it's inbuilt in me. It has become a lifestyle. It doesn't matter what, even if I can sleep late, I have to wake up around 5, either do the gardening or just read or do something, And again, like you see, I sell plants outside. When I see students, especially GSS students, Nanohan students, I can't hold myself, but just talk to them. Hello, banana. To me, they are a part of me. They've been a part of me for quite a bigger part of my life. Yes. And I would talk to them. I would find something to say to them. You know, look after yourself over the holidays, please. You know, don't just get any food from anybody. You know, it's all in me. You know, that's that. A teacher never retires. There is this thing that was introduced, I think 3 years back, where we met as retired teachers and then decided that, rather than our profession, you know, or in what we have been doing, rots and goes dormant or extinct, why not, you know, revitalize it by doing something? So we decided that we should, as individuals, do what you adopt schools. Yeah. Yes. Right now, as I'm talking to you, I've adopted 2 schools. That's GSS and Nanuhang here. What it means is you continue to offer services even if you are not in the field. Like when the Form 4s come, orientation, you go there and talk to them. I do that with GSS. When the Form 5s are just about to write their examinations, you go there and do a bit of exam counseling, how they can go about their examinations, have timetables and follow them. So that's, you see, it's not that I'm still there.
We've come to the end of our conversation with you, but before we part with you, Mapule, do you have any word of encouragement for teachers who are still on active duty?
Number 1, teaching is a calling. You shouldn't do it for, you know, mainly for monetary purposes. You know, it should be in you to say, here I am. I've been entrusted with the lives of these many children. You know, what is it that I'm going to give to them that in future they will look back and say, oh, what a teacher. Or if it were not for this teacher, I wouldn't be where I am. When I say it's a calling, you don't have to do it. Say, when I was as a teacher, you are a teacher 24/7. Because even when you are sitting, you are supposed to be preparing and thinking of how you are going to go about your lessons. So, the main thing, teaching is a calling. You do it from the heart. Once a teacher, always a teacher. You know? In your society, wherever you are, people look up to you and you have to have what it takes. When a speech has to be given at some point, even if it's a very informal gathering, so it means you have to have what it takes. You have to be armed. And again, you have to be exemplary to your kids, you know, because they look up to you. They have all the confidence in you. So be a step ahead of everybody when you are a teacher.
This program was brought to you in association with First National Bank of Botswana.